In this video, I am making a front frame for a kitchen run using haunched mortise and tenon joints. The first step is to mark out where all the mortises will go. I have done this using the technical drawing provided. Next, I need to set up the mortiser. First, I am putting the bit in, making sure it is square using my combination square and the back fence of the mortiser. Next, I clamp my test piece in and adjust the mortiser to where I need it, which I have marked out on the timber. Then I set my stops. I need 2 depths, which I've marked on the end of my workpiece, 1 depth for mortise and another for where the haunch will be. Once this is done, I wear my PPE to cut my test mortise. I will use this later when I set up the tenoner. With my test piece complete and correct, I can move on to mortising my actual workpieces. With everything set, I just need to move the stops for the correct depths and move my workpieces along to create the mortises where I've marked them from the drawing. Finally, I use a chisel to clean up the mortises for a perfect fit. With the mortises done, I can move on to the tenons. The first step is to mark out where they will be. I have done this using my test mortise piece. I've transferred the lines over to the end of the timber so I can see them clearly when setting up the tenoner. Here you can see me setting up the tenoner. First, I release the head to the back of the machine so I can lower them to meet the markings on my timber. I also set the clamp so that my timber will be nice and secure when running the tenons. When I'm happy with the position, I lock the heads in place again. Next, I put the extraction on, drop the guards in place and wear my PPE before making my test run. After my first test run, you can see the tenon doesn't fit the mortise, so I unlock the heads to adjust. With this final test, I am happy that the tenon fits nicely and the faces are flush with each other. Before running my tenons, I need to set a depth stop. To do this, I've measured the depth of my mortise, marked the measurement on my workpiece and set the stop on the tenoner. I run my test piece and check the measurement is correct before moving on to my actual workpiece. With everything all set up, I'm happy to run my workpieces. The only thing to remember is always keep all pieces face side up so all tenons will be positioned the same and correctly. Finally, I check the length of my workpiece against the drawing to check it's within tolerance. Now I need to cut the haunches in my tenons. To do this, I am first marking them out using one of my mortise pieces to get the correct measurements for the haunch. With that marked out, I can set the bandsaw to make the cuts. I've used a stop, which means I only had to mark out one workpiece. I didn't feel I could safely complete the next cut on the bandsaw as my workpiece is so long, so I decided to do this using a handsaw instead. Finally, I am dry fitting my frame to check it against the drawing before gluing it. I clamp it, check it's square and check the overall length against the drawing. Finally, you can see the frame complete and glued up with the uprights I also added.